Hiya friends, Prepared Suburbanite back at you with kind of an apology. I've taken a couple of weeks to concentrate on making sure that we're going to be ready for all the upcoming nonsense that my bones are telling me that it's going to happen pretty darn quick. Because I'm a prepper, I really need to continue to focus in on being absolutely prepared. Right now, the maintenance crew is working on replacing the motor in my whole house generator, and so if you hear some banging and drilling and hammering in the background, that's the crew replacing the motor in the whole house generator. That's been, I think, on back order for about 10 days now, and they finally got all the parts that they needed in, and the guys are here, been working on it for the last 45 minutes or so. So I suspect that they're going to get all done. But for folks that have been watching this channel for a while, you know that I try not to dwell on the doom and gloom aspects of what I think is coming, and I try to look at some of the opportunities, I guess is what they say, for excuses or reasons for being a prepper. And I just jotted down a list of those items that I think we should all be paying attention to. So right after the intro, I'll be back with some detail. So like I said, I made a list of some of the current events topics that are circulating in the news over the last couple, 3 weeks or so that I think we really do need to be paying attention to. And I'm trying to find some good news in all of this, and I am really having a hard time trying to find good news in all this. Well, how about inflation? Well, okay, so maybe there's a mask called the rate of inflation is slowing down, but it's certainly not inflation reduction. Last count, I think, was 3 or 3.2% year over year versus last year at this time, which was somewhere between 7 and 9%. So when you go to the supermarket, you're paying an awful lot more for your food, for your supplies, for whatever it is that you're shopping for, and inflation is killing us. Interest rates. Now, the Fed thinks that raising interest rates is going to cool inflation, and it hasn't happened yet. What it's done is really crippled the housing market. It's, I think, going to have a long-term effect in the housing market. I think it's making it very difficult for young folks to purchase a house, to purchase a car, to do anything where you actually have to borrow money. It wasn't too awful long ago you could get a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year flat rate mortgage at 3%, 3.5%, and now it's over 7%. So it's basically doubled the interest rates in just a few short months, and that puts a damper on the economy. Oh, but the saving grace is Bidenomics is really working. If you believe that, then I'm sorry, you're watching the wrong channel. Issues with the upcoming 2024 election. Why, we've got election integrity. I don't think it's integrity. I think it's interference. And what's going on with the Donald Trump legal issues right now? At last count, I think there was 91 individual accounts that he's been arraigned on or indicted on, and three different bunches of them, one in New York, one in D.C., and the other in Georgia. And it's 91. So that's a bunch of court appearances. And they've scheduled trials to begin in conflict with our election season. And I am just totally blown away by the brassness of what the left is trying to do here. This is nothing but interference in the 2024 election. I have read that there's a couple of states that are considering pulling Trump off the ballot because of the way the 14th Amendment is written, and that because he engaged in sedition or aided and abetted seditioners, that he should be prevented from running for any federal office. So they will just not stop. That's the bottom line. There are more issues relating to the former and current and future health crisis that we see out there. It's my understanding that we're positioning the economy and positioning the population to get ready for more lockdowns and more mandates. And we'll see how much that's going to work this time. It didn't work last time. So why do they think it's going to work this time? Oh, I know. It's because they can use this to interfere with elections. How about this? If you decided you're going to go vote, but you haven't gotten your mandated vaccine, well then you won't be allowed to enter that public building to cast your ballot, and you may have to do it by mail. Well, in the primaries, there isn't any mail-in balloting going on. So they are definitely going to be interfering if there are more lockdowns and mandates for us to bear. Thinking about what's going on with Donald Trump right now, and a lot of the conservatives that are out there that are under scrutiny, the weaponization of our federal judicial system, the Department of Justice, the FBI, it's absolutely out of control right now. You've all heard the banana republic nonsense. Well, this is it. We are here. How do you like your bananas? Yeah, I don't like them at all. What's going on? There's a statue of Lady Justice in the lobby of the federal courthouse in Concord, New Hampshire, the capital city there, and she's got the blindfold in her hands like this, and she's got it positioned right in front of her eyes like this. And I looked up at that when I had to visit that place, and I looked up at that and turned to my buddy and said, "Do you think she's putting that on or taking it off?" Well, got quite a chuckle. So that's something very, very concerning to be watchful of. The censorship that we're seeing here on YouTube, on Twitter, on X, whatever it is now, on any of the social media platforms right now, you got to be very careful what you say, what you can't say, what words you use, and it's just absolutely insane what's going on. The censorship is something that we all need to be absolutely aware of. Being silent is not the option. We need to speak up when we're being censored. The issues that are going on in the worldwide economy, the BRICS nations, now that they've added a few more, so it will be the BRICS plus group cartel that wants to replace the trading currency, the official worldwide trading currency, with their own gold-back standard. And it seems like a interesting idea, except the impact that that's going to have on the United States. And what do you hear from the current administration about what they're going to do to shore up the trading capacity of the U.S. dollar? I haven't heard a word. So apparently they think it's a great idea, being the globalists that they are. So I'm pretty concerned about that. We all hear, if you've been watching any of the Prepper and Doom and Gloom channels, about CBDC, the central bank digital currencies. And it sounds like it's starting to make its way into reality. Terms like debanking, things like that are starting to become more common in our lexicons. So I'm very concerned about the impact that CBDC will have. We won't own our own fruits of our labors if the government, if some foreign entity even, controls what we can spend our hard-earned dollars on, what our limits are, where we can go, where we can't go. I'm very, very concerned about what's going to happen with CBDC. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while to indoctrinate the whole population, but it seems like right now most of the liberals and leftists in this country are going to be supporting CBDC because the government has the answers to all our problems. Oh, climate change. Yeah, we just saw the impact of climate change in the Hawaiian island of Maui, where climate change was blamed for this horrible fire that had, and still hundreds of people missing and hundreds dead, and it was all climate change. Come to find out, it was really a whole mismatch of incompetence and underfunding and just total ignoring what was really going on in Maui. And I'm very concerned about the excuses that the left keeps coming up with every time something happens, like we have a hurricane or we have a tornado or there's a fire or there's a railroad car crash in Ohio somewhere. It's all climate change. So yeah, we might just as well say goodbye to the climate that we know and love. The division in our country is getting absolutely insane. There's racial divisions worse than I have ever seen them, and I've been around for a while. I'm over 70 years old and lived through the Martin Luther King days and lived through the Los Angeles riots and saw what was going on with segregation in the South, and remember George Wallace. It was pretty bad back then, but it was all pointed in the right direction. Racial animus really started abating, starting to diminish over time until recently. And in the last 10 years or so, it has really, really taken, gained momentum, I guess, in the racial division that racial animus is causing in this country right now. And that, along with the political division, the Republicans versus the Democrats, the leftists versus the rightists, it's dividing our country, it's dividing our family, it's dividing our communities, and we need to be absolutely aware of all these nonsensical things that are going on today. The only advice that I can really give right now as a prepper, as someone that's working hard to be prepared, is be prepared. Make sure you're stocked up. Make sure you've got twice as much food as you think you need. Make sure you've got water. Make sure you've got a source of water. Make sure you've got a way that you can purify and filter that water so that it's drinkable and potable. Make sure you've got enough backup power, that when the grid does go down, which I think it will, that you've got alternate ways to power everything that you need to get along. And while it won't last forever, gasoline will run out, propane will run out, natural gas will run out, but for the short term, you can make the adjustment from living in a powered world to back in the 1700s. If you put your shoulder to the grindstone and make sure that you are absolutely ready, and I'm talking about home security, self-defense, you name it, be prepared for everything. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.